Good afternoon. The Toronto Blue Jays' quest for a World Series championship goes to Dodger Stadium tonight.
Game 3 of the World Series is now just 8 hours away, and CTV Sean Leathong is live this hour in L.A. at Dodger Stadium. He joins us with more. Sean, you made it.
Yes, we did. I will say good morning, Michelle and Nathan, as it's 9 a.m. here, and you can see the beautiful skyline of Los Angeles behind me and what started out as a gray day, but will get warmer as we heat up towards game time. Now, I wanted to show you the front of Dodger Stadium where we're standing right now. You can see all these numbers around me. These are some of the Dodger greats that they do honor. Jim Gillum right there being honored, one of the greats, Walter Alston over here, and then, of course, number 42, Jackie Robinson, who they keep on here, famously breaking the color barrier as a member of Dodgers. Now, as we keep walking, they're actually going to let us walk inside the stadium, show you just how close it is inside to inside and how different this stadium is designed. Now, Dodger Stadium is actually, as we go through the gate, the third oldest ballpark in Major League Baseball. It began in 1962 here, and it's only behind Fenway Park and, of course, Wrigley Field in Chicago. They honor that history, as we can see over here, some of the original seats from Dodger Stadium when it opened in the 1960s, and they've kept it up to date, as it is quite a beautiful stadium. And you can see a slight model of the stadium there. Walking this way, and we get sort of a grand reveal of this beautiful stadium that's set in the hills in Los Angeles. And I gotta say, the first time we walked in here yesterday afternoon, it was absolutely breathtaking as they're preparing the field right now for Game 3 of the World Series. Beyond what you can see from up here, yesterday I actually had the chance to walk below the bleachers, and they honor that history just as much with some video that we have. Now, they have everything inside, from their multiple Gold Glove winners that they have to some of the World Series trophies from their 8 World Championships, the most recent being in 2024. And they have many of the old jerseys that these players wore throughout their tenure, from the Brooklyn Dodgers to the Los Angeles Dodgers and all the way up to today. And it's really breathtaking. You see how much they focus on their history, because players like Jackie Robinson did play for this organization that weren't just players, but they made history in themselves. And it was just a beautiful look from down on field level yesterday. But I got to say, we got to play some baseball today. It is Game 3 of the World Series. It's Tyler Glasnow pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers versus Mad Max Scherzer for the Toronto Blue Jays. And one of the biggest factors in this game has been the fact that Bo Bichette is back in the lineup for the Toronto Blue Jays. He played in Game 1, was taken out in the 6th inning, came in Game 2 as a replacement, but didn't start the game. He will be starting at second base tonight. Yesterday, Blue Jays manager John Schneider talked about Bo Bichette being in the lineup. Here's what he had to say.
The fact that he's out here working out today is a good sign, and expect him to be in there tomorrow.
Sorry about that. One other part is that there are many people in Los Angeles who are a bit torn with their allegiances, because we do have people who become Dodgers fans, but they are from Canada. One of them is actually Michael Bublé, who was on the Stephen A. Smith show yesterday, and he has Shohei Ohtani walks up to the plate to a Michael Bublé song, but Bublé is, of course, a Jays fan. He was talking about how it's a difficult World Series for him. Here's what he had to say.
Every single time he walks up the bat, Ohtani uses my song, "Feeling Good."
That's right. I was going there.
That's
I was
something.
going there. Well,
then I gotta somehow fight that inside. That as a Canadian, my beloved Blue Jays are going to go up against now my hero. I'm conflicted.
That's right.
I'm not really. I mean, I'll go for the Blue Jays.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. I mean, Canada's listening now.
So I wanted to show you how steep the bleachers here at Dodger Stadium are as well. It really creates an intimate feeling, and we're going to have thousands of fans here tonight. We know the Blue Jays are looking to get that pivotal Game 3 win that could set this forward, but it's going to be a tough hill to climb for the Jays tonight. As we know, home field advantage is a thing. The LA Dodgers are the defending World Series champions, but the Blue Jays are pretty good too, hoping they can put up another 9-run inning like they did in the 6th inning on Game 1. But it's a beautiful day in here in LA. We'll be here for the duration of it, and then we'll hit you again at 6 o'clock and 5 o'clock. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan, Michelle, send it back to you.
No, we look forward to it. What a great view. What a great tour. Appreciate it. We're all geared up now for the game. Now to a $75 million anti-tariff advertising campaign paid for by the Ford government that has riled up U.S. President Donald Trump.
The ad prompted Trump over the weekend to increase existing tariffs by 10%. And now Trump is saying he has no plans to meet with Prime Minister Mark Carney anytime soon.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars.
The Ford government TV ad criticizes tariffs with sound from a speech from former U.S. President Ronald Reagan. On Friday, Ford announced he would pause the ad, but not until after it ran during Game 1 and 2 of the World Series.
And Premier Ford is at Queen's Park. He's just stepped to the microphone to speak with reporters in the wake of all this uproar over this particular Ontario ad. Let's listen in live. Here's Ford.
Not at all. He saw the ad before I put it out. So did his chief of staff. They both saw it, and we moved forward on it. But again, we achieved our goal. You know, as we say, mission accomplished. It was done. They're talking about it in the U.S., and they weren't talking about it before I put the ad on. So I'm glad that Ronald Reagan was a free trader.
The Prime Minister was explicit today in saying that it was the ad that derailed negotiations which were moving ahead. With that in mind, why don't you feel you owe Ontarians an apology?
For sticking up for Ontarians, well, let's talk about a so-called imminent deal. I've been hearing this for month after month after month, and if there was no mention about auto. It's about steel. The Americans are gouging us on steel, 50% tariff. We're at 25%, but nothing to do with auto. I am focused on, and I love the steel workers. I talk to Ron Bedard, CEO, every second day at Dofasco, supporting him, Algoma, up in Sault Ste. Marie, protecting jobs. But I'm here. My job is to protect jobs here in Ontario. There's no mention whatsoever of auto. I feel like it slipped to the side. I'm going to fight for the auto workers, the steel workers, the manufacturing and life science sector, all these sectors that President Trump wants to annihilate, not just our country, but in particular, he wants to take jobs from Ontario. That's what he's trying to do, and I'll keep fighting, and I'll never apologize for fighting for the hardworking people.
Why did you decide to run the ads during the World Series, and do you think that made things even worse?
Not at all. I think that's a good impact. Again, we had over 1 billion impressions. We achieved our goal, and our goal is to make sure that we get a fair deal. Not a one-sided Donald Trump deal, but a fair deal for the people of Ontario and Canada. And I'm focused on auto. There's no mention of auto anywhere. We've seen what's happening. I'm fighting for the people down in Windsor, up in Brampton, over in Oshawa, up in Cambridge. Any area that has auto, it's my job to protect those people's employment. That's what I'm doing.
Did you talk to the Prime Minister about your approach of leaving the ad on for the World Series and then pulling it today? Was he supportive of that, if so?
No, I'm not going to get into personal conversations that we had. He knew I was running it. I said it very clearly to everyone. I'm going to pause it on Monday, which we have. We have achieved our goal, and now let's get back to the table and sit down and have that conversation on how we're going to protect auto jobs here in Ontario.
How do you get back to that? How do you get back? You referenced in the House that this was taking months and months.
Yes.
Are you frustrated with how long it's taking, and do you feel cut out from the heart of the negotiations?
No, we play a critical role here in Canada. Ontario's the manufacturing powerhouse in the country, and when Ontario does well, so do all the other provinces and territories. I did have an opportunity to speak to almost every single premier. I think I have a couple in the territories I still have to reach out to, but my comments to them is, do you want to keep going? Guys, my champion Wab Canoe. He's 100% behind it. Another champion, Premier Eby as well. So these are the premiers, total different political stripes than I am, but we're all sticking together. And I went right across the country and spoke to every single premier.
Danielle Smith doesn't like the ads, though.
Well, sure enough. Yeah, well, of course.
You're listening to Premier Ford now live at Queen's Park. Certainly, he is not apologizing for Ontario's anti-tariff ad campaign that has sure ruffled feathers. The Prime Minister had said Ottawa and Washington were were close to a deal on steel and aluminum energy when Trump cut off trade talks over this ad, but Ford stood his ground, wanted this ad. It aired during Game 1 and 2 of the World Series. It's now being paused. He really making the point today that he's focused on auto, driven by getting some headway in that regard, because certainly the sector has taken a hit. We will leave this here. We'll continue to monitor this news conference, and we'll have more for you a little later. In the meantime, there is a major hurricane bearing down on Jamaica.
Hurricane Melissa is expected to make landfall tomorrow as a Category 5 storm.
It now seems virtually certain that the core of a powerful hurricane is going to move over Jamaica on a Tuesday.
These are satellite images that show the eye of Melissa near Cuba, with winds reaching 220 kilometers per hour. Now, she was a Cat 4 storm at the time. And this is a live view of the storm as a Category 5. Melissa will be the worst storm to hit the island in its history. And this is a live view of Kingston, Jamaica this hour. Destructive winds and heavy rain will hit Jamaica as it makes landfall late tonight or early tomorrow morning.
And we will continue to monitor that. Certainly a scary situation for all those there, especially people who have loved ones there. Here in Toronto, much calmer. This is a live look at the city this hour. A bit of cloud cover, but not too bad at all. Nice conditions for a Monday in October. Lindsay Morrison is here with all the details. Lindsay.
Yeah, Michelle, we have mainly sunny skies in most areas, with the exception of perhaps Toronto and the West End, thanks in part to an east wind that's carrying some lake effect cloud. We'll see if a few lake effect showers develop a little later on today. But for the most part, yes, we are expecting it will be a mix of sun and cloud kind of day. Now, it is a little bit cooler. We had a frost advisory in place early this morning. Right now, it is 8 degrees. We're forecasting an afternoon high, though, of 12. So we do expect to be seasonal. Again, mainly sunny. We're going to take a quick venture back to Los Angeles to show you what the local weather conditions look like for game time tonight. Of course, it will be 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock LA time, sunshine and 22 degrees. How about that? That's starting to feel like a distant memory for us, conditions like this. We'll show you what's in store for the week ahead in your 7-day forecast coming up. For now, Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. The evidence markers all over the road in front of a Vaughn home tell the story.
We're being told by one area resident that up to 20 shots were fired outside in the home in the Bathurst and Teston Road area has been targeted before. CTV's Janice Golding joins us live now from the scene with the latest details. Janice, what have you learned?
Hi, Michelle. Well, the crime scene has actually been torn down at this point, so you have no visible markers that would indicate that a house has been fired upon. But I can tell you that York Regional Police are investigating a home that has now been targeted 3 times. And as you mentioned, neighbors say anywhere from 15 to 20 shots rang out at around 5 a.m. Now, police say that a vehicle was struck in the driveway by several bullets after a male suspect pulled up to the home and fired shots from inside a black car. Police have also confirmed that this home has been shot at twice in the past 2 months and say they believe the shootings have not been random but targeted. In fact, the last time this house was fired upon, another home just a few minutes away was also shot up for the second time. That house belonged to slain tow truck kingpin Alex Vinogradsky. Here's more from neighbors and police.
At about 5 a.m. this morning, we responded to a sound of gunshot call on Allison N. White in the city of Vaughn. When our officers arrived on scene, we located the crime scene. As you can see behind me, multiple shell casings were located on the street, and also we found a vehicle parked in the driveways damaged. And at this time, we believe this incident is targeted incidents. We have a suspect vehicle being a black car with a male driver suspect shooting out from the driver's seat, and then was last seen leaving the area.
We've been here 19 years, nothing even remotely close to this. And then all of a sudden, within a span of a month, third time in the same house. And I know what's happened in other areas within our neighborhood.
It's scary because this has been an excellent neighborhood to be in since the beginning that it was built. But it's just turned into this nightmare since the past 8 months or so.
That's when they moved in, you say?
Yes.
Now, several homes have been targeted in Vaughn over the last couple of months, and police say so far no injuries have been reported. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Nathan.
Thank you, Janice. In Etobicoke, 3 people have been arrested after a police takedown after a robbery at a cell phone store. 1 suspect remains outstanding. The takedown occurred yesterday afternoon. An SUV can be seen surrounded by several police vehicles at Kipling and North Queen. Officers say they responded to a robbery call around 3:30 p.m. and then were involved in a collision with the suspect vehicle. Police tell CTV News 1 suspect was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and 2 officers were also assessed on scene for minor injuries.
After days of pushback, the Ford government says it will not proceed with a proposal that could have made it easier for landlords to end leases. A statement released yesterday afternoon from Rob Flack, Ontario's Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, reads in part, residents expect stability and predictability in Ontario's rental market, and now is not the time to consider changes to the system. As such, we have decided not to proceed with consultations on potential changes to month-to-month leases.
It comes after the province wanted to consult on security of tenure rules, which could have done away with month-to-month tenancies that occur after a fixed-term lease ends. The Ford government says its goal was to provide landlords with more flexibility and unlock thousands more rental units. The province added it will continue to implement other reforms to try to strengthen the province's rental housing market. Mayor Chow says she's pleased.
What's magical about 2018? Why? Why 2018? There's no rhyme or reason for it. And it is heartbreaking to see people that are ripped out of their neighborhood because of some companies coming in, global, international companies that come in, buy buildings. One of them, they own 54,000 units. They come in and then immediately evict people and jack up the price.
The City of Toronto announced a new initiative today to remove barriers facing small businesses in the city.
Business owners are asked to share their red tape experience by completing a short survey on the city's website by the end of November.
The last thing they need is unnecessary municipal hurdles slowing them down. We don't want to be the problem. This pilot is our way of listening directly to business owners. This is a unique red tape reduction instance because it's the ideas of the business owners themselves that we're going to act on. Every submission we receive will be reviewed and analyzed so that we can identify problems that are problems in common and opportunities for real change.
There's a concerning new report from Food Banks Canada that says increased levels of poverty and hunger are becoming normalized in Canada.
The 2025 hunger count looked at data from the country's 5,500 food banks. The report found 1 in 5 people who rely on food banks have jobs. The report also found across the country, 1/3 of food bank clients are children. Food Banks Canada is calling for legislative changes to tackle the crisis. And CTV's Scott Hurt joins us live now with the details. Scott, we've known for a while now that food banks are just overwhelmed by the demand, but this report certainly shining new light on the situation.
Good afternoon, Michelle. Yeah, the numbers are once again sobering, as we've known for a while that food bank visits have continued to trend upwards. In fact, they're up more than 5% from just last year, and they've doubled since 2019. It really shows the staggering picture of the desperate need for these services. As the report points out, the food bank system is no longer sustainable in the way it was meant to operate, as a last resort, not a primary source of food and nutrition for millions of Canadians. So here's a look at some of these sobering numbers and statistics. Monthly visits to food banks have doubled since 2019, as I mentioned, almost 2.2 million visits in March 2025 alone across the country, and every province and territory has seen a significant increase in demand over the past several years. And as you pointed out, there are more young people showing up at food banks, as well as more seniors, along with more people who have jobs, who have stable incomes, and after covering everything else, still not enough to cover the necessities. Here's more from the CEO of Food Banks Canada.
We've been saying this for years. It doesn't feel like the urgency is reaching the halls of power in Canada. And it concerns me about the food banks themselves. How can we absorb this infinite growth? But it also concerns me as a country. How can we thrive as a country? How can we meet the challenges that are facing Canada if a quarter of our population is food insecure, if this many people are relying on food banks every month and the stress that that brings?
We've talked about children, and it should be highlighted again because these numbers, of course, should shock Canadians. A third of visitors to food banks across the country are children. That's about 700,000 monthly visits. And, Michelle, that is up 300,000 from 2019.
It's staggering. And you heard the mention there, this idea of infinite growth, the report calling for legislative changes. How might that help the situation?
Yeah, as you heard from that clip right there from the CEO of Food Banks Canada, there appears to be there's a frustration that the urgency doesn't appear to be connecting with policymakers at the municipal level, at the provincial level, and of course at the federal level as well. And some of the calls require real investment and commitments from governments, including modernizing the EI system for expanded support for gig and self-employed workers, enhancing the Canada disability benefits, and just in general investing more in housing supply. Also introducing a groceries and essentials benefit for the lowest income Canadians, and specifically to target support that'll help the northern communities who desperately need help as well. Really, ultimately, urgent action, not just to address the lack of access to food, but overall supports to make life and living, Michelle, much more affordable.
CTV's Scott Hurst, live in the National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says he plans to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping at the APEC meetings later this week. But so far, there are no meetings planned with U.S. President Donald Trump, who called off trade negotiations and threatened to increase tariffs on Canada in the wake of those Ontario anti-tariff ads.
If they're not ready to do that, as those comments indicate, then we were always going to do these things, to be clear. We're going to first and foremost build our economy, build it with generational investments, and you will see that not just the scale of the ambition, but the speed with which we put that into effect in the budget on November 4th, and continue to do what we've been doing over the course of the last few days and over the course of recent months, which is to build those other partnerships and deepen those other partnerships on which we're getting very much traction.
Prime Minister Carney is pitching Canada as a reliable trading partner for countries in Southeast Asia, in contrast to the United States, which has dramatically upended global trading relationships. U.S. President Trump has called off trade talks with Canada, and this weekend announced additional 10% tariffs on Canada as he continues to lash out over the Ontario ads featuring former U.S. President Ronald Reagan. And CTV's Colton Prale is in Ottawa and joins us live with more. Colton, it seems face-to-face meetings between Carney and Trump might not be on the table. What do you make of that?
At this point, they're not. Donald Trump said so on Air Force One this morning. He doesn't want to meet with the Prime Minister anytime soon. He also re-emphasized that he is very content with the way that things stand and the trading nature between the two countries. For Canada, this is obviously a significant challenge, and I think what it really shows is the volatility of the president when it comes to dealing with him. Mark Carney, when he was talking about the state of negotiations today in his press conference this morning in Malaysia, talked about very significant, specific, detailed, and comprehensive talks that were ongoing, hinting that they were actually relatively close to some form of relief package when it came to tariffs on steel, aluminum, and energy. And of course, those were the three things that were highlighted in the last visit to Washington, where we saw him and the president, and at that time, Donald Trump, said Canadians were going to love what came out of these eventual discussions. So this is a challenge that exists for the Prime Minister. It's also a challenge because how do you get back to these conversations, even if the talks happen still behind the scenes? And that's not to say that they are, but even if they do, it's been very clear that Donald Trump is the final decision maker in the United States. And so as long as he is upset with Canada, and he was asked today, he recognized that this was a provincial advertisement, but still directed his anger at Canada and at the federal government as a whole. And so as long as that personal frustration remains in place. It really is a roadblock for the Canadian team. And so you saw Mr. Carney there talking about focusing on Canadians, focusing on the budget coming up on November 4th, and really just leaving the door open for the U.S. to come back when they're ready to do so. But publicly, it doesn't appear as though there's much that they're willing to do. It's also worth noting that we didn't see Mr. Carney condemn Doug Ford or condemn the ad itself. And Ford was just speaking moments ago to reporters, and he did announce or let slip that Carney and his team had seen the ad prior to it airing. He also says Mr. Carney did not reach out to him to tell him to take the ad down after the response from Donald Trump. So some important details there coming out today. And then finally, also, it's worth pointing out, the president has said this is going to lead to a 10% tariff increase, but he hasn't detailed what tariffs specifically are going to increase, when that's specifically going to happen. And he was asked on Air Force One what that date might be, and he just said, we're going to let them know. There is still a lot of details that need to come out here. It's very unclear the impact of this potential increase. And you even saw Doug Ford today in the provincial legislature and also in his press conference just now, doubting whether that 10% increase is even going to arrive.
So with all that uncertainty, the Prime Minister is in China. What's his next move there?
There, it's about creating a better trading relationship. It's not necessarily leaving that meeting with President Xi with a new trade deal or even necessarily dropping some of the tariffs. It's about creating a relationship that exists with China. This is one of the largest economies in the world that's been largely locked off to Canada outside of certain sectors. Obviously, there's been significant pains for Western provinces when it comes to canola because of tariffs there imposed by China. And so this is going to be something that the Prime Minister is looking to slowly rebuild that relationship. He highlighted a few areas where the two countries can work together. He talked about, for example, the movement of people and especially the movement of students and academics when it comes to travel between the two countries as somewhere where they can better operate, somewhere where there has been past relations that have been stronger in between the two countries. This is also a meeting that he's teased would be coming for quite some time. If you think back to September, when he met with the Chinese #2, they focused on a lot of areas of economic growth and then highlighted that a meeting between the two leaders was likely to come at the appropriate time. It seems as though the Prime Minister is saying this is the appropriate time, and you saw him on this trip really highlighting, and in recent days, highlighting the desire for Canada to increase exports to the rest of the world. He talked about doubling exports to non-American countries. If you're going to do that, China, India, those are economies that you need to have access to, and so this meeting goes a fair way towards establishing a better trading relationship between the two countries.
All right, that's the hope. CTV's Colton Prail in Ottawa. Thank you.
Anytime.
Well, earlier today, we talked about Hurricane Melissa. The National Hurricane Center today not mincing words when they tell anyone in Jamaica not to leave their safe structures today or tomorrow. And here's why. Again, this is swirling as a very dangerous Category 5 storm. And as it makes landfall tomorrow over Jamaica, the eye wall of that storm could cause total structure collapse with the very strong winds. Also life-threatening storm surge, flooding and landslides expected too. Next, the storm will move across Cuba and eventually impact the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos as well. Of course, many people have loved ones in this part of the world. Some Canadians have travel plans. We will continue to stay on top of Hurricane Melissa and bring you the latest details. But we're also going to talk about your weather a little closer to home. A first look at your Halloween forecast is coming up after the break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Well, weather not a factor for the team. They're on the road. They're in L.A. But for those who maybe are heading out tonight to watch the game, weather might be a concern.
You know, I know. It's, I don't know. I'm still on a high from, we were at the game on Friday. It was so much fun. Saturday didn't go quite as planned, but it wasn't a blowout like, you know, like the Dodgers felt on Friday. So
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot to be excited for. But yeah, hopefully the weather isn't too bad.
Yeah, well, the weather's going to be good in L.A. We know that much. The weather rarely changes there, so it's not quite as much of a factor. But yes, for anyone maybe heading out to any viewing parties today, outdoor or indoor, pardon me, your travel plans look to be okay. Condition-wise, we are expecting a mostly sunny day today with temperatures right around where we expect them to be. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. So we've got sunshine today, but it was a little bit cool this morning. Overnight, our temperature dropped to about 2 degrees, and the result, yeah, some frost. So this was a golf course in Toronto today. You can see a little bit of frost on the ground. I think maybe a few people had their tee time slightly delayed as a result of this. Of course, it's that time of year where that can happen, and we've been pretty spoiled so far in October when it comes to the weather. Let's take another look at the satellite and radar. There is no rain to show you right now. Again, a little bit of cloud cover impacting areas like Mississauga, into Oakville, Burlington, perhaps the Hamilton area as well, and then extending westward toward Kitchener-Waterloo. Also, a little bit of cloud drifting in through portions of Muskoka, especially the eastern sections of Muskoka. All is looking pretty quiet, though, as we make our way through the next day or two here. We could get a little bit of a lake effect rain band off of Lake Ontario. And then there's a bigger low pressure system that we're going to watch for the second half of this week. So there's tomorrow morning. There's that east wind and a little bit of wet weather for Toronto. So that's early tomorrow morning, perhaps into the afternoon, drifting southward. There's your Wednesday, mix of sun and cloud kind of day once again. But let's talk a little bit about Thursday, because a low pressure system from the south is going to move up. This is going to bring us much more unsettled weather for Thursday and for Friday. Of course, Friday, Halloween. We're going to take a look at what you can expect into the evening hours momentarily. But let's bring it back to today. 8 degrees is where we stand right now in the city. 12 is our forecast daytime high. Seasonal average is now about 11 for this time of year. Your evening, as mentioned, if you're venturing out to any viewing parties or perhaps a restaurant to enjoy the game, you're not going to find that the weather is an issue. Overnight tonight, we're slightly warmer than we've been the last couple of nights. 4 degrees is our forecast low. We're not completely done with the risk of frost. In fact, your Tuesday daytime is seasonal. Tuesday night, the temperature is going to be around 2 degrees. So little snapshot across the province of what you can expect tomorrow. Again, mainly sunny skies, so that's something to look forward to. Let's talk about it. Halloween night. Right now, it looks as though we're going to be dealing with some showers and a temperature of around 7 degrees by trick-or-treat time. Of course, we are still several days out, so you'll want to stay tuned to see how that forecast evolves. But right now, I would plan on it being a little unsettled and a little cool for Thursday and for Friday. A reminder, November begins on Saturday, and the clocks go back overnight into Sunday. That's your look at the weather. Stay with us. CTV News. We'll be right back.
Canadians will soon have to be photographed when entering and exiting the U.S., according to new rules from the Department of Homeland Security. The new condition will apply to travelers no matter how they cross, whether by land, air, or through a port. It's part of a move to collect biometric data, introduced several years ago. No word yet on when this would be rolled out.
And this latest change comes in the wake of a new rule requiring Canadians visiting America for more than a month to register with the U.S. government. It came into effect last spring.
But as CTV's Alison Bamford reports, snowbirds now heading south are feeling the impact for the first time.
Every fall, Brian Rose drives south to escape Canada's winters. He's spending 6 months in Florida like he has for the last 22 years.
U.S. Customs has always been good to us. It's a couple of quick questions, couple quick answers.
But this year, the snowbird was prepared for a lengthier process. He filled out documents ahead of time, wanting to comply with new rules issued this spring. The Alien Registration Act requires Canadians to register if they enter the U.S. by land and plan to stay for 30 days or longer.
We got to the border here 2 days ago, and the guy says, all you need is a passport.
We've been hearing about a lot of inconsistencies.
Depending on the border officer and crossing, experts say some snowbirds might have to register at the port of entry, which could require their fingerprints, photograph, and a $30 fee. If they aren't asked to do that, travelers will have 30 days to register with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services.
There's no cost to do it. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes to register online. You don't have to be fingerprinted. You don't have any biometrics. You get a receipt and you carry that with you when you're in the U.S.
One U.S. immigration lawyer says getting fingerprinted at the border has always been a possibility, but it's rare, and snowbirds should still plan to cross the border as they normally would.
Treat crossing the border almost like a job interview. You're going to be respectful, you're going to be prepared, you're going to say please, you're going to say thank you, and you're going to make it easy for that officer.
Snowbird advisory groups say they haven't heard of anyone being refused entry as a result of the new process, and with time, they're hopeful that consistency will improve at the border. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Dodger Stadium, where the Jays will be playing, has become a focal point for political tension. U.S.
immigration officers have even been accused of trying to enter the stadium to make arrests. CTV's Adrian Goldberg is in Los Angeles with a look at the fear those raids are generating.
A blue sky paints a picturesque backdrop above Dodger Stadium, though a cloud of controversy has hung over the greater Los Angeles area for months. Members of LA's Latin American community say they're being targeted by immigration and customs enforcement ICE agents.
You're no longer a person. You're a goddamn devil.
In June, the Dodgers confirmed that ICE officers tried to access the parking lot of their historic ballpark before being turned away. U.S. Homeland Security has denied the claim. Though there's no denying the brazen use of force in America's second most populous city. From Home Depots
This is Downey Memorial Christian Church
to church parking lots, U.S. President Donald Trump has maintained that American cities are being terrorized.
We will not allow an American city to be invaded and conquered by a foreign enemy.
Here in East LA, multiple ICE raids have taken place in recent months. More than 100,000 Latinos call this community home. Those we've spoken with say they're living under daily fears of being detained.
Either start beating you up or pushing you to the ground.
Alejandro Aceves is an American citizen. His wife just received her approval letter from U.S. Immigration, though she's still hiding from federal agents.
She's had to lock the doors at work when ICE have been in the neighborhood.
Yes, just wait and see what happens next.
If they are legal or in the process of getting their paperwork, why are you singling them out?
David Etobicoke, the chairman of Canadians Abroad in Southern California, admits fear has also spread throughout the expat community.
All of a sudden, people are scared about, their social media presence and getting checked at the border. And
people are living in fear.
There is a fear that we've never experienced before.
It's a tension that stretches from the Valley to East LA and beyond.
You could only do so much. Pray, I guess. Because sometimes not even that helps.
There's a sentiment, even a hope among those we've spoken with, that this World Series, whether in Toronto or here at Dodger Stadium, can be a catalyst to bring people together instead of driving them apart. Adrian Goldberg, CTV News, Los Angeles.
Now to the boom in business for small businesses in Toronto, all thanks to the Jays' epic playoff run. CTV's Jessica Smith is following that side of things, and definitely the dollars are flowing amid all this excitement.
Listen, Michelle, we are down here at Pro League Sports in Regent Park, and in the few minutes we've been here, it has been nonstop of people coming in, grabbing their gear, getting gear for friends of friends of friends. And it's all because of one person in particular, Tex Thomas. I want to ask you about what it was like, because you opened this store originally back in '91 over in the Beaches. You've been here for about 2 years back in Regent Park. What has it been like for you over the past week or so?
It has just been crazy. We've had nonstop customers coming in, trying to outfit their dog, their kids, pretty much everyone.
We were speaking to some customers earlier that have known you, they said, for a couple of years. One said about 18 years. He's been friends of yours for a while, but he said he wouldn't do business anywhere else. He wants to come and support you. What has it meant to you to have people who drive out of their way? Because he's like, I don't live downtown, but I drove here specifically to support you.
It's meant a lot. It's meant so much that I've garnered the respect of the community, that they would rather give me their money than give their money to a big box store.
What has been the hottest ticket item? Because I know everyone's looking for jerseys, looking for hats, looking for the World Series patch on the stuff. But what has been the hottest ticket item?
Well, our hottest ticket is this hat here. So this is the all-3 cap that the Blue Jays have been wearing for the last little while with the white panel. So this is a bit of a take back from the hat they wore back in 91 and 92, 93.
I know that they came in quickly. They were gone just as quickly. I heard that folks were waiting in the store, hoping for boxes to show up. Are we hopeful for more shipments? Because I know a lot of people are probably watching this thinking, maybe I'll just wait outside for a bit.
Well, I put a call into New Era, so I'm hoping, keep my fingers crossed, that we'll be able to get something before the series is over.
I know you've been a long-time Jays fan. What sparked your love for the team in the first place?
Well, I was once an athlete, so sports has always been my DNA. And living in Toronto, how can you not be a Blue Jay fan?
Okay, I have to ask the question. I know it's really tough, but do you have a World Series prediction?
Well, I'm hoping that the boys will come back and win it in Game 6 on home turf, and all the fans in Toronto and across Canada will just go crazy, just like they did in 2019 for the Raptors.
I can only imagine how exciting it is going to be. For you, do you have a favorite part of the season so far? Is it just making it to the World Series, or has it been kind of the whole thing all along?
I would say the entire season. I mean, you don't just jump into the World Series. You have the start of the season, training camp, spring training, then to where we are right now. But it's a great feeling. It's a great opportunity for these guys, and hopefully they can bring it home.
I feel good. Tex feels good. We're going to have more news and weather after the break. Go Jays, go!
Go Jays, go.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The Blue Jays last won the World Series all the way back in 1993 with manager Cito Gaston at the helm. And Gaston was behind both of Toronto's World Series winning clubs, including becoming the first black manager to earn baseball's top prize in 1992.
And CTV's Heather Butt spoke with Gaston about the Blue Jays team's past and present.
The winners and still world champions, the Toronto Blue Jays.
You managed the team the last time they won the World Series. Take us back to 1993. What was that like?
Well, 93 was a different year for us because we had won in 92, and it was almost unsurreal that you're here again in this parade that you just in last year. But the team was completely different. People have no idea that we changed that. We carried 25 guys. We changed 14 guys. We kept 11 players, and we came back and won again, which that was so amazing.
Talk to us about the team. How does it compare to the lineup back then?
But this team never quits. It just keeps coming at you. And that's the way that team was in 89. And then it reminds me a little bit of the 93 team because the patience that they have.
When you saw this team at the beginning of the season, do you remember what your thoughts were? Did you think they'd make it this far?
Not really until, you know, they started to play a little bit. I wouldn't have thought that they were going to make it because they had so many guys in the bottom of that lineup that you didn't know what they were going to do. But look, they all showed up. That's why they won it, because the bottom of the lineup is really big.
What do you think of the atmosphere in the city?
It's great, just outstanding. People around just having a good time. They're here early at the ballpark. I think the whole city and country is excited about what's going on with the Blue Jays, and they should be. It took us a while to get back here, but we're here, so let's see what's going to happen. Hopefully we're going to win it all.
This is really Canada's team. They are really representing the country.
That is awesome. I mean, no one can say that. No one can say that in the world. This is a whole country's team. I mean, what can you can't ask for anything more than, hey, have a whole country behind you. And some, you know, as long as you don't take the weight on your back that you got to do it, just go out and do it. Go Jays, go.
Heather Butts, CTV News.
And the Toronto Raptors were in action last night visiting the Dallas Mavericks.
Ingram spinning, double, Mamu on the cut, and the drive, Mamu!
It was a close game in the first half with the Raptors up by 2, but the Mavs had a strong third quarter, going on to win the game 139-129, handing Toronto their second straight loss. They're back in action today visiting the San Antonio Spurs.
An anime movie adaptation secured a surprise #1 at the weekend box office. Chainsaw Man, the movie, debuted with $17.3 million US in ticket sales across North America. That pushed last week's #1, Black Phone 2, to a second-place finish with another $13 million. And Regretting You, based on the 2019 novel by the same name, was just behind with $12.9 million.
As of today, the general public can get flu shots and COVID vaccines in Ontario. They're being administered at pharmacies, some public health units, and participating doctor and nurse practitioner offices. The vaccines had already been available to higher risk groups. RSV shots are also being offered to eligible seniors, pregnant women, infants up to 8 months old, and children up to 2 years old who are at high risk.
Ghosts and ghouls spooked their way to the annual Fright Fest in Barrie on Sunday. This was a free event in its 5th year, and it took place at Lampman Lane Park and Community Centre. There was a haunted house, arts and crafts, the coveted costume contest. Thousands attended that annual Halloween celebration over the weekend. The event also included an escape room, vendor market, and lots of tasty treats. Yeah, it's a good reminder. Halloween is in a matter of days.
Thinking the same thing. It's on Friday.
There's also a World Series happening too, so there's a lot on the go. Who knows if it'll impact Halloween as well? But you'll gear us up, and hopefully the weather will, show up.
Yeah, the weather is always a little questionable at the end of October, wouldn't you say? Often the chance of some wet weather, often a little bit chilly. But of course, it's not just the weather here at home that we're keeping a very close eye on this week. Here's one more look at Hurricane Melissa. So a reminder, this storm is expected to sweep across Jamaica today and into tomorrow, and then impact Cuba, followed by the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. We'll also take you to LA, where we are expecting the Jays to play the next 3 nights. There's a look at what you can expect condition-wise. Tomorrow's high is going to be around 11 degrees. One more thing I want to remind you of, Nathan and Michelle, the clocks go back 1 hour this weekend, so prepare for some darker evenings.
Okay, good to know. Thanks, Lindsay. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.
Already fall back.